Hi, Max. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
You know, I'm good, but it's been busy. This is one of the most whirlwind feeling IPP Global Privacy Summits we've ever had, right?
I think it's because there are 7 conferences happening, see, so.
I mean, when you put a conference between holidays, it all happens at once.
Yeah.
So literally in the last 48 hours, we've had IAPP Global Privacy Summit, IAB Public Policy and Legal Summit, customer dinner last night. Like, it's just been, I mean, we haven't had a moment to breathe, but it's good stuff. It's good.
Live for it.
Yeah. Still hucking the octopus the last 2 days of the booth. I mean, we've produced probably 3,000 of these things, and still not everybody has one. So it's amazing.
And yet we're almost out.
Yeah. So, anyways, I think most of you know Max Anderson sitting to my right, but Max, introduce yourself for our audience.
Of course. Hi, I'm Max Anderson, one of the co-founders and head of product here at Ketch.
Awesome. So we want to come on and do a Privacy Huddle live here from the IAPP Global Privacy Summit because there's been a lot of interesting hot topics.
Yeah.
And so I want to break down a few of them. Frankly, starting with the IAB event today, because there's some great sessions at Convene here in Washington, D.C., put on by the IAB. Let's start with the keynote delivered by Michael Hahn with Tom Kemp of the CCPA, or Cal Privacy, rather. He talked through a lot of things that were enforcement priorities from their end. One, this has been a continued theme, but frictionless opt-outs and the importance of that. We've heard about that a lot, but what's your current perspective on what's most important there?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's clear from the conversation people are maybe less confused, but implementations seem to lag behind the understanding that has been hopefully taken away from folks in the market about settlements around Dish, Sling, and Honda. You know, I think the big things that come to mind for me listening to Tom Kemp talk about it, you know, one click, right? Dark patterns and having the options to opt out be redirect to a privacy policy where they might say, yeah, we of course may or may not sell your data, but in the case that we do sell your data, you can do this and another link and so on and so forth. So frictionless means one click. And I think the other element of that, certainly coming from Honda and Sling, frankly, to some degree, is if you know who the individual is, don't ask them for information to facilitate the opt-out request. In no case do you want to implement a pattern where you're going to have to verify identity. And I think the last one, mostly Honda related, is too many form fields that aren't relevant for the action people are taking. The one that I'm biggest and bullish about is don't have a form, and then also put in the subtext of the disclosure that if you really want to opt out, you also got to go to the CMP and switch dials. I think that's like a really, really important takeaway that we heard loud and clear today.
Absolutely, the CMP DSAR tooling integration.
Correct.
We also heard some folks talk about their marketing team is pushing on them to, are you sure you want to opt out?
Yes,
right? Which folks made it clear that's probably not something you should do.
One of the great questions in one of the breakouts was, who designed this? Like, is this a vendor thing, or was somebody in marketing just trying to get a little bit clever with the implementation? We didn't discuss too much the vendor nuances, but certainly attention being paid to marketing's desires to keep the data in the boat.
We can't help ourselves.
It's a real problem.
It is, yeah. The other thing we heard in Tom Kemp's keynote was on, regardless of the vendor you're using to effectuate do not sell requests, if the vendor, if you're getting kind of caught in the way you've set it up, is it your fault? Is it your vendor's fault? And Tom Kemp made it pretty clear the onus is on the brand.
Absolutely, he did make it clear. It's a little bit of a key change from what we were hearing in other regulatory panels, going back to CLA earlier this year. It definitely sounded like at that time there was rumblings and implications that perhaps vendors are going to be scrutinized in a new way. I suspect it's possible that will still happen, but I think Tom was very clear. The responsibility ultimately still does lie on the brand side.
Absolutely. So yeah, Tom had a great keynote this morning, and then the other thing that we heard this afternoon was a really interesting breakout around just breaking down the recent enforcements and what does that mean in practical terms? How are people implementing? And I think the topic that came up and just generated the most kind of raised hands and questions in the room was there's a lot of seemingly colliding modern privacy requirements around I have to effectuate do not sells, I have to worry about giving appropriate notice relative to SIPA, VIPA claims. I think I might need a cookie banner for GDPR, but I don't know about California. And so a lot of just questions in the room about how do you handle all of this in the context of a single banner or a single thing. And so Max, obviously you're talking with our customers, dealing with how they deal with these conflating requirements. How are you thinking about it?
Well, I think even before that, the most salient takeaway, look, there's a lot of confusion. One of the women who attended the breakout asked the question. We were talking about the Honda settlement and the requirement that you need to have a reject all button. And she said, well, yet concurrently, just 20 minutes ago, I was in the other room and they said I didn't need a cookie banner at all.
Right.
So I think there is a lot of confusion about whether you need a cookie banner or not. Certainly from my position and the implementations we see and the way we read the guidance, having a disclosure, and I'm very intentionally not using a cookie banner word because I don't think this is a cookie banner problem at all. Under CCPA, the right to opt out of sale or share of personal information is the target. The ability to do that may or may not be facilitated by a cookie banner, but I'm not sure I would even write the word cookies in the actual set of options. I would talk about do not sell or share as the high order bit. Whether that is implemented through a software of the category, CMP or cookie banner is another element. But the disclosure is really around minimizing your exposure under CIPA, making sure you give disclosures that tracking technologies, data collection, et cetera, will happen. I think that's a best practice, but I think the do not sell or share link needs to be about do not sell or share. And I don't think you need to be talking about cookies at all, which is the irony in this. And so the concept of reject all coming out of a settlement under CCPA is, it's illustrative that it's still confusing.
Well, and it's interesting too because I've talked to a number of folks that, you say, well, it's more than a cookie banner, and some folks will say, oh no, I know that's just like shorthand.
Yeah.
But then other folks do mean cookies, and they need a little bit of a broader education. So we have this interesting place of education in the market where cookie banner doesn't mean the same thing to everybody.
Exactly, and I call upon my esteemed colleagues in the legal department to depend on precision of language. Words have meaning, and we should use them intentionally. And I think it is because of that confusion, using the term or invoking cookie banner to describe solutions in this market is fundamentally unhelpful. And so we're very, very intentional not to talk about cookie banners as the thing, but consent management as a mechanism to facilitate these.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Max, it's been a pleasure talking with you today. I appreciate your time. I can't let the audience go without acknowledging, Max, you're from Oklahoma.
Oh, yes.
Max's home state finally decided to join the data privacy party and is looking at a consumer privacy law. You must have an inside scoop, right? Being from the Sooner State, right?
Hey man, I've been hitting the pavement hard for a long time, and I'm grateful that the hard effort has ultimately borne fruit, and I'm really proud of my colleagues from the great state of Oklahoma. It's great not to be last. Oklahoma has a tendency to be last to the party in some of these things, and look at us blazing a trail for the first time in a long time.
I love it. Well, congratulations,
Thank
sir.
you.
Please let your family know. I'm happy for them.
But of course, yes, I will.
And thank you all so much. For those of you we've seen in person the last couple of days, always a treat. It's been so much fun spending time together in DC, and we'll see you on the next huddle.